3/4,
integers, fractions, math.
2. Hey, welcome friends to another episode of Sketchy Ideas, the live point counterpoint video podcast where we illustrate and debate concepts surrounding leadership, business, personal development, mindset, personal achievement, friends, family, movies, you name it. For some reason, we describe all this stuff. But really our goal is to help make sure you think twice before you implement that new idea you just learned about on the interwebs. Hi, I am Brad James.
I'm Michael Rampolla.
And today we're your hosts. And today we're going to continue our conversation from last week, where we're actually going to give you an example of how to take a mindset theory and turn it into practice rather than just using the fancy terminology to impress all your friends. But before we do that, we're going to get a word from our sponsors. Go ahead, Mr. Rampolla.
You got it. Sketchy Ideas is powered by Spirity. Spirity helps business owners identify their most important priorities and get more done in less time. You might not think that that's possible, but when you figure out the best uses of your time, you're actually optimizing your approach to your life, to your business, and to your goals. You might have a lot of people supporting you, but are you sure that they're all pointing in the right direction? You might be making a lot of investments, but are you sure that they're paying off? Spirity can help you figure out all of that and identify that you're doing the right things at the right times to achieve the right results. Reach out to us at spirity.com.
Hey, and if you are running one of those businesses or one of those organizations, you probably think you have to be in charge of everything, right? You'd be wrong. Even the most organized people need a little help every once in a while, especially this guy. Maybe you don't have time to keep up with the social media, or you haven't branded yourself yet, or you give up sleep to do all that stuff, which is totally not healthy. So get in touch with Cream City Marketing. The experienced team over at Cream City Marketing that I work with helps to make sure they relieve the stress around marketing and all of the things that accompany it. We craft quality content to help you get in front of the right customers at the right time so you can reach your business goals. Cream City Marketing will take care of the stress so you can do the rest. Get a hold of my good friend Erin over there by emailing her at erin@creamcitymarketing.com. Cool. And with that, we're diving into some things today, and you've done a lot of homework to prepare your thesis on how to actively take those fun, trendy words that everybody uses, but I would say only a small handful actually execute what they say they're doing. And with that, hey, friends, it's episode 45.
You make it sound so formal and official that I've done my research. It's called experience. A lot of what I'm going to talk about today comes from been there, done that, got the t-shirt. As my dad used to say, been there, done that, got the t-shirt, are using it as a rag. So is that good? So that's
almost
where
spit my coffee out there. That would have been bad. That would have been bad.
Didn't see that one coming. So that's where this one comes from. So all right. So you might have heard of this one. Today is going to be all about the 80-20 rule.
I know that one.
Of course you do. Everybody knows that one. They've all heard of that one, right? 80-20 rule. Everybody loves the 80-20 rule. It's a nice shorthand for what, Brad? Okay, so this will be fun. I say 80-20. What are some of the... I know. Unfortunately, you actually probably know the answer, but...
Yes. It totally depends on who you're talking to. I've heard many iterations of this, but the one that I've heard the most and the one that I believe to be the point, I'm gonna relate it to something with sales first, and then hopefully it'll explain how things actually work.
Okay.
In sales, if you actually are doing tracking and you're actually following the metrics and you're actually looking at things like customer lifetime value, average cost per acquisition, frequency of purchases, all of the metrics surrounding sales, I promise you, somewhere around 20% of your customers take care of about 80% of your revenue. Okay. Now, what that means is that your favorite 20 customers might not actually be the ones taking care of 80% of your revenue, but there will be somewhere around 20%, give or take, right? Standard of deviation if we've got statisticians watching us today. That 20% of your customers will cover 80% of what you make in a year. It's just kind of the way it works. It just kind of happens, and you'll see it, which is also why when we talk about marketing, you talk about customer lifetime value and all that other stuff, because it does correlate. So the point is, Michael, you're trying to say that in work, 20% of what you do actually takes care of 80% of where you're trying to get to. And the other 80% is trash? No.
No, opportunity, right? So
Sure.
you actually, well done. Pareto would be proud. This actually has a name. There's a guy behind it called the Pareto
I didn't know
principle.
that.
You knew that one?
The tomato principle? No,
Pareto,
the Pareto principle.
Pareto, the Pareto principle. I like giving credit, especially because it makes me sound smart. So the Pareto principle, aka the 80-20 rule. Yes, shorthand. 80% of your results flow from 20% of your efforts. 80% of your results flow from 20% of your efforts. Get it right, and it's a good 80 from a good 20. Get it wrong, and the actually same thing is true. Where it gets misapplied too often is, well, that means I only have to do 20% of the work. No, it doesn't mean you only have to do 20% of the work.
That's not what that means.
It's not what that means. 80% of what I do is a waste of my time. Well, that might be true, but that's not what this is saying. And it's not, again, I'm not passing judgment. I'm saying some might say, but the idea is that now, and sometimes it's not core to the theory. Sometimes the obverse is true. Sometimes 80% of your efforts only produces 20% of your results, which is kind of the theory of the long tail or the law of diminishing returns, right? At some point, a little bit extra doesn't, or it's going to take me, the way I learned it from consulting, consultants that I follow, his name is David A. Fields. And he says, your 90% is probably the client's 100%, but you want to turn in 95% anyway, like your own version. He said, you're going to spend more time closing and getting it that last 5% amazing. It's going to be already above and beyond what they want. You're going to spend at least as much time doing that as you did probably the first 90%. 90% is enough. So same idea, where at some point you're going to put in a whole lot of effort and get and not a lot of results, and vice versa. Applied intentional effort produces a lot of great fruit. So if you were
making a graph, is what you're saying is like in the law of diminishing returns, right? So yes. We know that if this is effort, right? Let's say this is like your biggest chunk. Like if you get this chunk down here, and this is your 90%, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yep.
So what Michael's saying is that often this 10% that's left, if you're actively looking at its impact, it's so small or minute that the only person who's going to notice it is you.
Right.
So this also goes out. This is why this is a great rule for all of you perfectionists out there in the world. Because if you actually look at the math, you're doing it wrong. You're spending a lot of energy here because the energy that it takes for you to do this work up here is a lot.
It is.
And you're the only one who sees it.
It's a lot of effort. Exactly. It's the fourth revision. It's the let me go over and look for all the commas again. Right?
Hey, marketers are like flawed with this. I promise you.
Yep.
This is you hear me hound about numbers. I go, look at the numbers. Just look at the numbers. Just look at the numbers, look at the numbers, look at the numbers.
a great colleague of mine, I'm going to call him out, Terry Swarthout. This one's for you. He said, Michael, you're always putting 12, he would call it 12 coats of paint. That was his joke because I used to be really good at this. He's like, Michael, one coat, maybe two. He goes, they don't need 12 coats of paint. Like, because I would go over it again and I would tweak this and I would adjust that. And I would, and he's like, they probably would have been happy a long time ago. Right. And if you're not careful, this is perfectionist meets procrastinator. If you're not careful, it's beautiful and late.
Yes. This is for all the people who don't get off the porch. Right. Like, right. There's hundreds of ways that we can say this. If you're an entrepreneur and you've ever felt like you're stuck, just freaking ship it. Like, ship it. I still get stuck in it sometimes. And more often than not, you get stuck in this realm when you're like, have a whole bunch of stuff on your plate. And often those are the times where with this, you end up focusing on this rather than this. It tends to be one of those things. But anyway, so how, Michael, can we take this 80-20 rule now that we understand the why it's important? How can we take it and turn it into action? That way, great. We're not sitting there on the porch going, my shoes aren't tied perfectly, so I can't leave the house.
I'm gonna give you 2, maybe 3 case studies in it. First 2 are going to come from the same realm, but from very different sides. So I used to manage hotels. And if you've ever traveled, stayed in hotels in that way, you're aware of the whole rewards programs, the elite, the gold, silver, platinum status stuff. Why does that stuff matter? Here's why that matters. Hotels know from their data that 20% of their guests produce 80% of their revenue. There's a very small percentage of extremely frequent travelers whose loyalty matters a lot, because moving one of those very, very loyal, very, very frequent spenders from your brand and portfolio of hotels to another is a significant hit to your revenue. So A, identifying who they are, the elite status, and B, maintaining their loyalty by providing them with perks and giving them extra special stuff and taking care of them. All of the expenditure there, where you might get free drinks, you get free upgrades, you get these points, whatever. There are costs to the hotel chain, yes, but those are actually investments to maintain loyalty, because even one of those platinum elite double secret important guests, even one of them moving over is a significant loss of revenue across the entire portfolio. So hotel chains know this and have known it for years, probably long before a lot of us got into the idea of data and analytics. Hotel chains have known and recognized the value of loyal guests and their revenue dollars. And that is why rewards programs, frequent flyer miles are the exact same way. That's why that stuff exists. It's because they know this down to the dollar and the point and the mile and the night. So that's point 1. Here's point 2, also from hotels. Guest satisfaction surveys have long been a thing. It's been a thing in lots of worlds for a long time. In the brand that I worked for a while, they had their own survey sent out to guests, get it back. What they identified was there are a small percentage of problems, like as far as examples of issues that I guess my experience, that produce the large bulk of guest dissatisfaction. So let's say here's 100 things that could go wrong with your stay. Out of all the different things that could go wrong, there's a few of them that come up more often than all the others. And it was typically different by location, because every location has its challenges. And if a hotel could identify its top 5 most frequent complaints, and you eliminate those 5 most frequent complaints, it could typically increase its guest satisfaction score by half.
Okay.
Which is a significant uptick. You could reduce your gap.
That's crazy.
Massive. It's massive. Because it is the source of most of your guest complaints. And most guests are happy until there's a problem. So if you can eliminate the few frequent sources of complaint, your guest satisfaction scores can rise significantly without a lot of effort. So here's how my hotel did that. It was so simple. It was a piece of paper at the front desk, 1 per shift. And every time a guest complaint came in, as I'm taking the complaint and I'm doing my listen and empathize and apologize process, I am writing down what the problem was.
Yep.
And then at the end of the shift, that list of problems gets put over here for analysis, basically. Because what was happening was we were so good at problem solving. Absolutely, I get on that right away. And already I'm solving the problem. The problem's done before I tracked the fact that the problem happened. So great problem resolution, poor problem tracking means we keep having the same problems. We got really good at resolving them, but we never actually got rid of them.
Sounds like insanity.
Correct. We were really good at it, though. Like really good at the insanity. Like we had lots of systems. And I want you to look for this in your business, people. Look for where in your business have you created a system to solve the result of a problem instead of root causing where it's coming from and eliminating it at the source. Are you intentionally creating insanity?
So now that you've talked about hotels, and I don't know how many of our viewers actually run hotels right now, but
if there's one out there, I feel you right now, me and you.
All right. So, but it makes sense. Can you give an example of maybe?
Sure.
We've got a lot of. I know we've got a lot of coaches who watch this. We've got some manufacturing people in here. We've got some agency people.
Here's the two play. You said sales. I think sales is a very straightforward place to apply this. I mean, it absolutely is because it's on the plus side. It's back to the elite guest idea, and we know this from all the businesses that we've grown over the years. Figure out what's working and do more of that. Sales is the number one place to apply that idea. Yes. Figure out who is your most frequent buyer and what are they most frequently buying. There's two 20s there. It's a small piece of your small, narrow, niche of your buyers and a small slice of your products or services. Figure out where those two things overlap, and it's in this 20 corner, and it's going to be the bulk of your business. And if it's not, it's still your most frequent. So maybe you're not at 80-20 yet. Maybe you're at 60-40. Okay. But there's still a trend there. There's a trend where a few items are producing the majority of your outcomes. Focus your effort on that few and make it fewer and fewer and fewer, and you actually multiply your back end.
Yeah. So this is Michael's talking about specialization. Okay.
Yes, he is.
Michael's talking about pick a select few things that you have systems around that you're continuously doing. Focus on those being the core of what you're selling and how you're selling. Doesn't mean you have to totally abandon the other stuff, but just don't make those a focus, right?
Right.
So, and I will say this, that 80-20 rule, what you end up finding is if you focus in on that piece in a business. Now, I know we're dealing with a lot of small business owners on this show we're watching. Most of you probably run more than one thing. Okay. I totally get it. I feel you. I'm right there with you. But in each business, I have a focus that we work on. There's still other things that are being worked on outside of it when it comes to sales, but that's really what the focus of what I do is for each business. And then we begin to add things that round it out to increase the value, to gradually grow the proportion, right? So if initially this circle, if this is my circle, right, initially, and if my focus of 20% is here, my circle is nowhere near as good as Michael's. Please don't judge. But eventually, once you get this slice of the pie down, now your circle's a little bigger. So now guess what? You will have to add more services again. And then once this is solidified, the resources
to do it at that point.
Right. So this is where this 80-20 rule comes into play. Now, all right. I think we've nailed that. Michael, how can we as busy business owners who are not corporations like Hilton, Marriott, whatever, hotel chain, implement this so it becomes, rather than the 80-20 rule, right? Hey, I'm running the 80-20 rule. When you're
it's an
saying
80-20. Oh, it's
BS to people. Yeah, good for you.
Right. No idea what it is. Yep.
how can we run this every single day or week, quarter, whatever, in a very simple way?
Right.
So it's not overwhelming, right? Because building out tracking, building out metrics, you're talking about all of this stuff that I know is really hard to wrap your head around, especially when you're in it and you're working in your business as much,
right,
if not more than you're working on your business. So what advice would you give somebody who's doing that?
So you're right that it can be overwhelming. And I think step one is back to the earlier, start something, start somewhere. I made a joke about the piece of paper, but it literally was a tally sheet. And that's all that it took to get us tracking results. Because here's what we knew. We knew that guests complained about things and we were spending our time solving their problems. Like that's a fact, right? You know, you're trying to sell. Some people are buying and some people are not. You know that as a manager, you are fighting lots of fires. You know that as a business owner, there's a lot of things you could do next. Whenever you're facing an uncertainty about what is happening or what to do next, any uncertainty, figure out something you can start tracking, something small and simple, like tallies, like something as easy as a check mark and a tally mark to count something, because it'll get you in the habit of tracking something. And if the results don't give you anything, then at least you got the habit of tracking and start tracking something else.
Here's another one, all right? Tallies are easy if you've already got some idea, but this is having worked with a number of business owners. One of the things that I think business owners don't do enough of, because when you look at it, it's kind of scary. Track your time, even if it's estimates.
Yes.
So open your day and close your day somehow, whether you're using a tool like Toggle or you're following your calendar or something. But that way you'll be able to go back and look at, okay, what things were important, right? In marketing and in sales and on the business development side of things, I almost like it's really important to focus on what you're doing and why you're doing it, right?
Yes. Because
there are so many tools and tactics that you can leverage to execute a strategy. And more often than not, and this is why I think you need an expert. If you are not a marketing expert or a sales expert, we're getting to the point why coaches are helpful here. One, they will help you filter through the information and the data for you. Two, they'll teach you how to do that on your own eventually, because most coaches, not all, most coaches really work hard to work themselves out of a job in some way, shape, or form. And three, they will begin to help you hold yourself accountable to focusing in on the things that matter to achieve whatever that goal is. So in marketing, we often deal with like shiny object syndrome, because everybody's like, there's all of these things happening, rather than understanding that marketing is a tool to augment what you're doing. Marketing is necessary. Okay, don't get me wrong. But what I find is that a lot of people try to do everything right away. And I've been one of those people, right? Where you're trying to do everything and then you sacrifice sleep, or you don't do that. So sometimes even the best thing to do to your tally sheet is literally just do an activity chart, right? Take a spreadsheet, put a start time, put an end time, and just track your activity that you do every day. And you can look back on it, and then you'll be able to get times and all that stuff, right? So at the end of the day, the point is 80-20 does work if you apply it. If you talk about it, it doesn't work. But if you are actively, if you actively are trying to identify what the 20% that's going to get you the 80% of results is, it will work. And sometimes it starts just by looking at numbers. So for example, my big thing, when people are like social media and all this stuff, I go, they're like, yeah, we're posting great stuff. And I'm like, cool, is it working? They're like, I don't know. I was like, have you looked at the numbers? They're like, I don't know. I go, just start looking at the numbers. If you start looking at the numbers, you actually see the results increase with this, because now you're choosing to make it a focus of your time, and then you make small iterations, even if they're subconscious. So that's the other part of this. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean,
No, you're absolutely right. So number one, start counting. Number two, look at the results.
hey.
I mean, well, okay, so good. Now look at, and then number three, I'm gonna say find the pattern, because there's almost always, if not always, I'm not gonna go always on that one, but there's almost always a pattern. And if you struggle to find the pattern, that is where an outside, somebody who's not you, can typically help you see it. In Brad's example, tracking your time, totally agree. Once you've done that, then categorize it. You can use the same 4 categories we've talked about on this show before, navigating the 4 C's. Which of those hours is customer acquisition? What's customer retention? What's cash flow? What's company growth? Where are you spending your time? And that's another way to apply 80-20 in a good way, not a broad, it just sounds nice in theory way. There's a few things that you as an owner and leader are doing that are making a big difference. And there's a bunch of other things that don't matter. More often than not, the things that you are doing that are making the biggest difference are the things that you and only you can do because of either your skill set or your position. It's the rest of your time and effort that's being duplicated or could be duplicated or delegated. See episode on delegation. We'll insert numbers in show notes. If you can figure out what to delegate because anybody else could do it and leave yourself for only this part I can do, then your 20% effort becomes 80% impact. And wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't it be nice if you could figure out the few things that matter the most, do those more often, and get a bunch of better results without working too darn hard? Speaking of mindsets, this is the theory behind the 4-hour work week. Thank you, Tim Ferriss. Same thing applies there. He figured out, this is all I really need to worry about. This is the 4 hours of my time. If I just do this, it's radical and extreme with radical and extreme results. If I can just do this, everything else is fine. It involves things like firing customers that are taking too much time and not enough, giving you not enough effort back or not enough revenue back. Or maybe they're your biggest customer from a revenue standpoint. They're also your biggest time suck. And if you could use that same amount of time on 2 other customers that look not quite as good on paper, but holy cow, I could have 5 easy customers or 1 really hard one. I'm better off with the 5. Because what could I better could I do with all that time and effort? See also Pareto. Same principle applies. A few things matter more than a lot of the other things. Figure out what those few things are. Start counting. See what the numbers tell you. Find the pattern and apply it and start cutting stuff out. Start cutting stuff out and see what happens. If nothing falls apart and the wheels stay on,
or don't. Here's the deal. And if you're scared of cutting things out, understand that if you're implementing the 80-20 rule, it's an investment, right? It's an investment, maybe not from a monetary standpoint, but from a focus standpoint. You have to make an investment. It's a choice, right? This whole thing with any of these mindsets, 4-hour work week, if you actually read what Tim Ferriss did, he put in a ton of time to build out systems and automation and delegation and tools, right? So that he could actively work a 4-hour work week. Like, it wasn't instantaneously. He didn't just say 4-hour work week. This is what I'm doing. And he didn't just focus on a few things because he still had to do accounting, the books, all this other stuff. But what he did instead is he said, what are the things that I need to do that only I can do, that I can make it so high value of the things that I can do for others or for my business, that everything else becomes not irrelevant, but not important to him having to do it. Yeah. So this 80-20 rule, all of these things come with the caveat of you have to follow and make choices about investing in staff, partnerships, vendors, tools, building out process before you get technology on top of it, right? These are the things that matter when it comes to building a business. And when you're a business owner, all those things I just laid out, figuring out how to get those off of your plate, if that's not what you're good at, now you're doing the 80-20 rule.
Right. So this was one of our mindsets that we explored a lot, but I think it all says the same thing, which is whatever mindset, principle, concept you're going to apply, it's an investment. You got to stick it out. You got to think long-term, and selecting which one you're going to start with is a part of the effort, not just, I'm just going to go 80-20.
Yes.
Michael and Brad talked about 80-20. Let's just go with that. No, don't. No. Don't do that.
I'm just going to do it.
Before you do this, it sounds great. Thanks, guys. We just told
Look at
you
me.
told me to ship it. I'm at 80-20 now. Look at me. I'm going to stop doing a bunch of stuff. No. Take a breath. Think long-term. What are you trying to accomplish? What's holding you back from getting there? Which theory seems to have the best angle on helping you address said roadblock? Check it, validate it, make an investment. Don't give up after 3 days, right? Because that's a thing too. Make an investment and stick it out. And more often than not, if you're careful in your selection, intentional in your application, and you are disciplined in your approach, these things will pay off. It's when you don't do one of those 3 things that things fall apart, because you give up too soon, or the immediate results aren't there, or insert other fallacy here. These take time, effort, and intention, and when applied, all of these good in theories, actually produce real results if you are intentional in the way you apply them. 80-20 is one example, and all the others have their applications. I encourage you to get some help figuring out which one is what you need next.
Yeah. So we got our notification from Brian saying wee wowie woo. I don't know what that says, Brian, but anyway, he sounded off the alarm. It's a siren. Thank you.
Wee, one of those. Okay.
Gotcha. All right.
Noted.
This is why Brian doesn't want to come on camera sometimes, because he knows we'll. I get it. Yep. Anyway, Hey, so today we went through the 80-20 rule. All right. If this was helpful for you in any way, shape, or form, do me a favor. Share the video with your friends. If you're listening to the podcast, screen capture it, share it, tell others about this. And because, again, hey, this is our 80-20 rule. Michael, Brian, and I are really trying to figure out what the focus of everybody who watches this show or shares this show wants to hear more about. We've talked about it. We've brainstormed. We've figured some things out. Some things people like. Some things people don't like. Brian says we need to know.
We need to know. It's true.
Stop laughing. Can't help it, man. Well, sleep deprived today. Long story short, if you liked it, share this with your friends, share it with colleagues. The people who I have shared it with and the people who have seen it, they've gotten value out of at least one of the episodes, even if it was giving them something to laugh at and point fingers at, saying, I don't want to be like that guy. We at least like to add some humor into their life. So it's good. Especially Brian. That's the only reason he's still here, because he likes to know that he's better than both Michael and I in many ways. And that's obviously, Brian. But anyway, we're doing this to help you. We're doing this because Michael and I have been given the gift to have the experiences around this, or known people who've done it and helped people work through it, and have had people help us work through this stuff too. So share this. That's why we're doing this. All right. We're going to have an episode next week. Unfortunately, Mr. Rampolla won't be here. He has a prior commitment. So, you may get me, you may get someone else. Who knows? Maybe Brian will take over and be on the show. Cricket. That's what I like. All right. Worth a shot. But anyway, come see us next week, 1:30. You can find us literally everywhere now. I think we're the only platform we're not on at the moment is MySpace. So
MySpace Live, that's a thing. Everybody's in on the game. Sure.
Everybody's in on the game. But you can find us, and if you miss the 1:30 time slot, we're on YouTube. We're on anywhere and everywhere. Find us on your favorite podcast syndicate. You can find us. It's good. We like to have fun. We want to hear what you want to talk about. So hit us up at info@sketchyideasshow.com. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you don't like. Tell us what you like. We're doing a tally list. It's what we're doing. So you can even drop it in the comments and we'll probably find it. So with that, thank you for watching. Michael, thank you for sharing the correct name of the Pareto.
Pareto. You're gonna.
I'm just gonna call it the potato guy who made the potato principle. Because that makes sense to me. Anyway,
80% of your potatoes come from 20% of your fields. 80% of your French fries come from 20% of your spuds. I don't know.
We might need a stat check on that one. Don't believe everything you hear when it comes to random facts pulled out of places you don't know about. Yeah, but this one's a good one. The Pareto principle is actually a very good one to follow and an easy one to find resources on. If you need help from it, you can contact us. We'll help you out. Now that I've gone on this long rant at the end of the show, Michael, help? You want to? Yeah.
This has been another episode of Sketchy Ideas where, and just remember, just because it's a sketchy idea doesn't mean it's not worth exploring. We will see you again next time. Thanks, folks. Bye-bye.